The mock-up is done, but now I have a completely different problem. If I walk into Suzanne's shop and show her this concept, and she eventually likes it, what exactly am I offering her? And what am I going to charge? Because making something beautiful is one thing. Turning it into an actual service somebody can buy is a completely different thing. I spent way more time figuring this part out than I expected. I'm taking the concept I showed you in the last video and turning it into something I could actually put into Suzanne's hands. And tomorrow, I'm bringing it to her. Hi, I'm Dawn. I run Blossom Stitch Studio, a branding and web design studio. This channel is where I document real client work, start to finish. Now, obviously, I already did something you're usually told not to do. I did work before I had a client. Suzanne didn't hire me to create the homepage concept. She doesn't even know I made it yet. And I thought about that before I did it, because I don't want to build a business around doing hours of free work, hoping somebody eventually pays me. But I also don't really look at this particular project as free client work. I look at it as a bet. I spent a few hours building the concept, working through the direction, refining it, and then I had to manually fix one small piece of the logo after the first AI pass. That's real time, but in exchange for that time, I now have something tangible. I'm not walking into her shop saying, hey, I design websites, trust me. If she loves it and opens the door to paid work, great. If she doesn't, I still have a real project I can show. I have the series, and I've learned something from actually doing the work. So for me, in this particular situation, that trade made sense. But then I realized I needed an actual offer. Here's where I got stuck. Let's say I show Suzanne the homepage and she says, I love it, how much? I can't exactly stand there and go, that's when I realized I need to stop thinking only about the design and start thinking about the actual service. What does she get? What doesn't she get? How many changes can she make? Am I designing something or am I actually building it? Am I writing the copy? What happens after it launches? Because those are very different amounts of work. If I don't know where those boundaries are before I talk to her, there's a really good chance I'll either undercharge or accidentally promise way more than I intended. So I started breaking the work into 3 levels. Tier 1, starter concept. This is basically for someone who says, I know something isn't working, but I'm not ready to build an entire website yet. Show me what this could become. They get one homepage design, a mock-up, color and typography direction, placement of photos they provide, and 1 round of edits. What they don't get is just as important. This isn't website development. I'm not launching anything. I'm not writing all their copy. I'm not designing 5 additional pages. It's a concept. And I really want that boundary to be clear. Can you just change one more thing to turn a relatively small project into something completely different? That's called scope creep. So this gives somebody a professional direction without requiring them to commit to an entire website build. Tier 2 is launch essentials. This is where we're getting much closer to something that's actually ready to become a website. There's a second page concept. I'm replacing generic placeholder copy with actual messaging. There's logo cleanup if that's what's needed. And there are 2 rounds of refinements. But I'm still not developing and launching the website at this level. That's important. This is for somebody who wants to get the brand and the website pieces in order first. They may want to build it themselves. They may already have somebody who can build it. Or they may come back to me later for that part. But by the time we're finished, there's a much clearer roadmap for what the finished thing should actually be. Then there's Tier 3, the full studio launch. This is where I actually take it from concept to a functioning website. Multiple pages, copywriting, building the site, testing, launch. And then 30 days of support afterwards. Because handing somebody a website and then disappearing the second it goes live doesn't make much sense to me. There are still things I would automatically bundle into that price. Domain, hosting, professional photography. Anything that varies dramatically from business to business gets quoted separately. Because I don't want to inflate the package to cover expenses somebody may not even need. And then came the part I probably agonized over the most. What do I actually charge? Tier 1 stands at $400. And then I went back and forth on that one. Because there's a temptation when you're building this part of the business to think, maybe I should make it really cheap. And then people will say yes. But cheap doesn't always change how long the work takes. Every 1-page concept involves discovery, visual direction, generation, refinement, design decisions, revisions, and putting it into something presentable. So I didn't want to start at a number where I already resent how much work I was doing for it. At the other end, tier 3 goes up to $2,500. Could a complete website eventually be worth more than that? Absolutely. But I'm also being realistic about where I am right now. I'm still building proof around this particular service. I'm refining the process. And I'd rather charge a number I can confidently stand behind today, do excellent work, and earn the right to raise it up later than pick a bigger number just because somebody online told me that's what a website should cost. The numbers in between follow the same logic. More work, more involvement, more responsibility, higher price. There's something else I realized while doing this. The pricing sheet isn't really just about Suzanne. I'm building a system. Because if I walk into the coffee shop across the street next month and see another opportunity, I don't want to start over from zero. I want to already know this is what I offer, this is what it includes, and this is where the boundaries are. This is roughly what it costs. The individual project can change, obviously, but the framework doesn't have to. And that's one of the things I'm figuring out through this series. I'm not just building websites. I'm figuring out what the Blossom Stitch version of this service actually looks like. So once I had all that figured out, I needed something I could actually hand her. I didn't want to walk in with some giant proposal. She hasn't even asked me for anything yet. That would feel like a lot. I want something simple, something that explains the options without requiring me to stand there and give her a 20-minute sales presentation while she's trying to run her shop. So I created this. It gives her 3 levels, what they include, and enough information that she can look at later without having to remember everything I said. And more importantly, she doesn't have to make a decision standing there with me. I can show her the concept, explain why I made it, give her this, and let her think about it. So the concept is finished, the pricing is finished, the flyer is finished, which means I'm officially out of things I can hide behind. So tomorrow I have to walk into Susan's shop and actually show her. I've thought through the possible outcomes. If she's excited, great. I'll show her the options and we can set up a real conversation. If she's unsure, also fine. I'll leave everything with her and give her space to think about it. And if she looks at me and basically says, thanks, but no thanks, that's okay too. I mean, I'd obviously prefer the first one, but all 3 are real outcomes. And that's the whole reason I'm filming this before I know which one happens. Because it's very easy to show you this 6 months from now and say, here's a client project I landed and here's exactly how I did it. It's very different to turn on the camera before I've walked through the door. And right now, I generally don't know. So that's where we're leaving it. Next video, I'm taking this step into the shop. And we'll find out together whether Suzanne actually likes what I've created and whether any of this turns into something real. If your own business doesn't quite look or feel like you yet, that's exactly the kind of problem I'm starting to solve through Blossom Stitch Studio. There's a link below if you'd like to talk to me about yours. And if you want to see what happens with Suzanne, subscribe because I'm filming that part too. I'm Dawn, and I'll see you in the next one.